Well, hello everyone. I'd like to review the week one study questions. This is something that I should be doing on a regular basis. What you'll see is that I do not give you feedback on your individual study question submissions. What I do is to do these videos. Um, and what you should be doing is comparing, generally speaking, what I say in these videos with what you have submitted, so that if you were way off from what I was looking for, it's up to you to realize that this is what these videos are for, is to give you my ideas of what I was looking for in answers and what I had in mind when I wrote the questions. So let's take a look at these. Number one, what is the general definition of a canon? There's nothing wrong with looking that up. The basic idea is this here. I'm sorry if it's not big enough to see. The first definition given here, a general law, rule, principle, or criterion by which something is judged. I think that the word principle is very helpful there. If we look at the NSB Code of Ethics, the fundamental canons are the basic guiding principles and ideas that structure most of the rest of the NSBE Code of Ethics. For instance, if you see the structure, and this is just going over material that I covered in the videos, that the six canons are laid out, and then the second part of it, the rules of practice, are simply a specification or an elaboration on the first five canons. So it's the canons themselves which are the general principles, the most fundamental principles of the code. And then section 2 is, to some degree, a guide in how they are to be interpreted. The following sections, professional obligations, is a little different. But so a canon is a first principle, a guiding principle, a standard or reference. But the idea is that a general principle, which needs to be applied, which in a specific case needs to be interpreted and applied carefully to whatever situation. Number 2, what is the primary meaning of professional in this course? Well, I hope that became clear from the videos. The primary meaning of the word professional in this course is member of a profession. That word can be used in many different ways, and that's fine. Those ways are completely valid in their own context. But the context that we'll be using the word in is member of a profession. So we may say that a bus driver who does their job very well and takes it seriously acts professionally, or might even say that they're a professional. Or we might say that somebody who makes their living from playing a particular sport is a professional athlete. And those things are fine. But the sense in which we'll be using it, the word professional, is to designate somebody as a member of a recognized profession. Bus driving and sports are not professions. Law is a profession. Being a member of the clergy is a profession. Being a doctor is a profession. And perhaps there are others. And perhaps engineering is a profession. That's, of course, one of the themes we'll be exploring in this course, engineering as a profession. So it is a restricted use of the word, no doubt. And it's not to say that other uses of the word are invalid. And it's not even to say that the use of the word in the sense that we'll be using it is even the primary one, but it is the sense in which we'll be, it is what we will be exploring. So the primary meaning of professional in this course is a member of a profession. And okay. So number 3, what is the significance of the word accordingly in the preamble? So of course I meant this opening part of the code. Engineering is an important and learned profession. As members of this profession, engineers are expected to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Engineering has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. Accordingly, and that's what we're focusing on, obviously, the services provided by engineers require honesty, impartiality, fairness, equity, et cetera, et cetera. What I wanted you to see was the logical connection between what comes immediately before the word accordingly and what immediately follows it. What comes immediately before is the idea that engineering has a real impact on people's lives. What comes after it are the special obligations of engineers. And what the accordingly does is to say that the special obligations of engineers, that they have to, that they require honesty, impartiality, dedication to the protection of the public health, et cetera, that follows from the great impact that engineering has on people's lives. It's really quite similar to the basis for a medical ethics or a legal ethics. Medicine has an incredible impact on people's life and health. Therefore, doctors need to be held to the highest standards of ethics. Law can have an incredible impact on people's lives, on their property, on their freedom. Therefore, lawyers are should be held to a high level of a high ethical standard. So you can see the analogy. Engineering has an amazing impact on people's safety and the quality of their lives. Therefore, engineers need to be held to the higher standard of ethics. To see that connection is the accordingly. Number 4, what makes the first canon a principle unique to engineering and professional ethics? Well, the answer to that is that because the engineer has an obligation to the entire public. There's nothing that I know of in any other professional ethics that makes the professional beholden to the world at large. Hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public, which basically means everyone. Legal ethics and medical ethics focus on the doctor's relationship to the individual patient and the lawyer's relationship with the individual client. They do not lay out a responsibility of doctors to the whole world or to the public, or lawyers to the whole world, the public. Now, that's not entirely true, but there's no other code of ethics that emphasizes right away and in this sort of basic way that the professional has a primary responsibility to everyone. And as we'll see, that's because of the special nature of what engineering does, working with technology. So that is unique in professional ethics, I believe. And finally, number 5, why is it that the Fourth Canon might conflict with the First Canon? This is a subject which we will be exploring probably repeatedly, especially in the latter weeks of the class. But obviously, not so obviously, there are perhaps conflicting interests here. Not a conflict of interest, but conflicting interests. The interest of the public, which seems to be primary. That is, the engineer has a responsibility to protect the public. But here, the engineer has a responsibility to be a faithful agent of their employer or client. In itself, it's not a conflict, but it may be that in certain contexts, one has to choose which is more important, the responsibility to the client or employer on the one hand, or the responsibility to the public and its health, safety, and welfare on the other. It may be that in particular situations, you can't do both. Now, that may not be true, but at least on the face of it, it looks like there might be a possible conflict in some situations. So that is what I had in mind for what I was thinking, the kind of answers I was looking for. As always in this class, if there's something that you feel you want clarity on or that you want to talk about, particularly having to do with the class, feel free to email me or to call me on the cell number that I put in the syllabus.